budget hearing. We are going to call the meeting to order. So, Mr. Humphrey, if you wouldn't mind doing the roll call.
Ms. Daniels? Ms. Davis?
Present.
Ms. Green?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Rawls? Mr. Rodriguez?
Present.
Ms. Hill?
Present.
Thank you. We're going to move right into our committee business. We're going to start with the Department of Facilities and Special Projects. Director Baker, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, going over your presentation, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Good evening, City Council. My name is David Baker. I'm the Facilities Director for the City of Harrisburg. I'd like to present to you my 2026 fiscal budget for your review. Don't get too click happy. It'll do it. All right, so you can go to the next slide. Obviously, this is the cover page. So any significant budget changes for 2026? As you can see in the budget from the broken down version, we do not have any significant budget changes other than your typical inflation estimation costs throughout the year. Go to the next slide, please. The diversity numbers we have for the department are, as you see in front of you, and our multilingual percentages are there as well. So the newly vacant positions and the existing position that we have as vacant are in front of you. Our existing position that's vacant, unfortunately, the individual that had it had personal issues that they had to overcome for a long period of time, so they ended up having to, find other options as far as work goes. But other than that, we are just looking to continue in the forward progress and keep moving forward and keep getting rid of or taking care of things.
Can you please speak up into the microphone because I can't hear anything?
My apologies. Further on in the slideshow, you'll see the financial benefit of the position increase or the requests. So if we go to the next slide. So the 2025 grant funding, these are the overviews. I won't bore you with reading each line verbatim, but you can see the different entities that we received grant funding, the donors or the funding agencies, and then a rough synopsis of completion dates or like a finalization information at the bottom line for each of these different areas. Next slide, please. So the grant funding for 2026, you can see the two areas that we're focusing in would be the Martin Luther King Jr. building and the Broad Street Market. We have acquired, as you can see there in the middle of the chart, a LSA grant for $400,000. The total ask was $1 million, and we have a $600,000 LSA grant for this year that we've requested in addition. We're hopeful we will get. Once we receive that full $1 million, along with the lower portion of $145,000, we do plan on starting the ADA remodels throughout the Martin Luther King building. And as everyone knows, we're continuing to work on the Broad Street Market as well. So the year-to-date budget. So you can see that the year-to-date budget aligns both 2025 and 2026. And we have not exceeded any of our estimations as far as what goes for this year. So the department highlights, you can go to the next slide. One of the very first department highlights that we have would be the F&B Stadium project. As you can see, there are some pictures that we've taken throughout the process of the stadium destruction and construction. There's a few more slides that have additional F&B pictures. We have hundreds of them throughout the term of the project. But this project is on track and on budget to be completed at the end of this year. You can see there's some of the clubhouse pictures. The next slide is the public safety building. This was the ADA upgrades and the HVAC and mechanical system upgrades. This was a $5.5 million project we did over multi-year terms. You can see in the bottom left, we actually now have ADA compliant wheelchair lifts in the public safety building entryway, which we have never had in the past. All of the asbestos material was abated and removed properly. All the ducting that was far surpassed its life has been replaced with new energy efficient equipment and material. You can go to the next slide. Here's a little bit more of the finished product of the public safety building. Just shows you different shots in different rooms. Next is the Broad Street Market. This is some of the preliminary demolition for the Broad Street Market. And as everybody is probably aware, we still are on track for May of 2027 for completion. We know we're going to hit some bumps in the road, but as of right now, we are absolutely on track, and there's been nothing that has really derailed us. We're taking into account the weather, taking into account people's schedules, and we know that we're going to see some unforeseens on the ground here once we start doing some of the serious earthwork. But as of now, we are right on track. You can go to the next slide. Additional pictures. I feel like I should have a movie soundtrack with the pictures, but all right, you can go to the next slide. So these are some of the projects that we've completed in 2025, and on the right-hand side, we have some of the projects that we're still currently working on. Again, instead of boring you reading all of them, maybe just some of note. The police department actually has a street crimes unit that was being held for years and years in the night court area of the first floor of the police station. I didn't even know about this until this year, but we have done full asbestos abatement, we've done wall demo, you name it. We've kind of refabbed that space for them, so it's now much more user-friendly. It's a nice place to go to work each day, and it's, it was a little scary previously, but it's looking real nice. So if you ever get a chance, ask the police for a tour if they take you down there. It's a nice looking space. The upgrades to the security throughout the buildings in all the city, also the fire monitoring, that's something we try and get done little by little each year. Sprinkler system upgrades, that's something, it's not just upgrades, it's also a lot of maintenance, just because after a certain amount of time they age out and we needed to continue getting things certified. Energy efficient lighting, again, we always try and stay on top of that. If there's anything in here that you guys want specific information on, we can always go back at the end of the show, and I'm happy to give more of that. We'll go to the next one. So again, this is going to show you multiple slides of the in-house projects as opposed to the outsourcing the costs. This is where I was saying you'll see some of the math for how it makes sense for our in-house staff to be here. There's a decent amount of these slides, but we're only naming a few of these things, and you can see, some of the small jobs it's a few thousand, some of the large jobs it's many $1,000s, but just keep scrolling through here and you can see the different jobs. With the weapon storage, the police asked us to create something for them there. We worked with them for a little while when they did the evidence remodel, and that one itself, we were able to save them over $11,000 with just one set of shelving. So you can imagine. So we have retrievers throughout the city, at least in the MLK building. And they are just incredibly antiquated. No one can really use them for the most part, and they are kind of a bear to get rid of. So once we do that, we free up a lot of space for actually people to utilize as far as in the office. So this is just a quick slide showing that. Fire station, again, you can see the pricing for the work. And the other thing to think about here is it's not just the cost savings, but this is the emergency response timing, where we have an emergency service that needs something to be up and running so they can function. they call us and we're there within minutes or an hour, compared to if it's 90 degrees out and you call an HVAC company, they might show up the same day, they might show up 2 or 3 days later. So we can prioritize our own people here. So again, you can see the different projects, some large, some small, and then cost savings with all of them. This is the last one for the cost savings. So then all right. Hello? Is it fixed?
If you're speaking, I can't hear anything at all.
I'm not pressing anything. Yeah, you like the robot thing? I could talk like this, but I don't think she can hear me on the phone. Can you hear me like this? Yeah, it's fixed. All right, we're fixed. I don't think that's me. All right, so the next slide. This just kind of buttons up all those previous slides you saw. This shows, again, this is just a snapshot of the cost savings for in-house labor compared to outsourcing. All right, when you're ready, we can go to the next one. And again, this is a question that was asked, so we are answering down below here. If you'd like to read these, if there's any questions that you have about them specifically. The elevator in the PSB, that is one that is definitely giving us a run for our money, but we are continuing to take care of everything here below. And I was told I was not allowed to put Porky the Pig on there talking, so we didn't do it. All right, does council have any questions I can answer for you?
Thank you very much, Director Baker. Is Councilman Rawls here? I am going to then start with our Public Works Chair, with Councilman Rodriguez. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Director Baker, it's always a pleasure to see you. I have no questions regarding this. I stay in pretty frequent contact with the heads of the department, so I'm pretty privy to everything that you just went over, but I really appreciate the presentation tonight and everyone's hard work in the department. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. President Hill, any questions?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your responses regarding the department's diversity complement and the percentage of employees that are bilingual within the department. You also answered questions regarding the vacancies within the department, so thank you for that. My question lies, can you please go back to slide number 5? Thank you. My question is around the Hall Manor pool. The $2 million for the geotech study and $6 million for construction. The geotechnical and environmental study is ongoing with an estimated completion date, I guess, at the end of the year. Can you speak to that? It seems like that has been ongoing for some time.
Yes, so well, just to clarify, so the public's aware of this, I'm sure council is, but the $2 million was a placeholder. It's not the actual amount that we spent on the geotech or environmental study. But as far as the timeline goes, we did have a lot of, there was some prep work to do for this. We did have to get some boxes checked before we move forward with it. But it was also one of those things that we had grants that had a much shorter clock on them that we had to kind of prioritize work-wise as far as the amount of staff that we had. And this was one of the ones that we had a little more time on. So we actually started working on this a little later in the year than some of the other grants. So it did end up getting finished a little later in the year.
Okay, and so the estimated completion deadline is what, December 31st, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, we expect to be done before the end of the year.
Okay. And then the parks. We generally get a lot of questions around construction, what's happening, what's going on. So I see that there's a mandatory completion date of January 31st, 2026. Do you anticipate completion before then, or are you thinking you'll need the entire month of January?
To the best of my knowledge, they are fairly on track as far as the work goes for the majority of the parks. The completion date, again, this is, weather is going to be dependent on how fast, whether we lose days or we are able to gain days. From what I've been told, the majority of the park should be done by the end of the year, so we should be within where we need to be as far as completion goes for the grant funding.
Okay, if by chance you need to utilize the month of January, there's no loss in funding since they've set a mandatory date?
So that's something that our grant funder would probably have to speak to. We've not been given specific direction on exactly what the repercussions would be if we did not meet the guidelines.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Daniels, any questions?
No questions for this portion.
Thank you. And Councilman Jones, any questions?
Yeah, I was a little distracted, but my question was similar to President Hill's regarding the parks and the completion date and worried about the clawback. I know there was an article out saying that a lot of the money could be, I don't know how close they are to completion, but, and you said you're very close to completing those projects.
Yeah, I think 7th Radnor, Gorgas, and we have the project manager here for those parks, and our Parks and Rec team are here as well if you need more detail on there. But I believe the majority of the parks should be completed by their estimated completion date.
Now, are you allowed to ask for an extension or no?
So we have asked, we've had multiple extensions on these projects specifically. We did just recently ask for an additional extension, and we were granted an additional, I think it was a tertiary 30-day extension on this.
And that reflects with the January 31st date?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing, the spray alley. Can you explain that project a little bit? For some reason, I thought we had scrapped that at one point. So can you explain that one a little bit to me?
So spray alley would be just a small spray pad portion where, where the existing road is at Reservoir Park in the lower level below it's above the band shell area. Typically it's a park you see, it's always closed off out at Reservoir.
By the parking lot?
It is next to the parking lot, yes, it's above that elevation-wise, but it's right next to the parking lot. And so that portion.
Right, but in between there, I mean, you got chutes and ladders,
Above, yep.
Okay.
And parking lot below, and that runs, right through, it intersects between those two. So in that portion, that is where there's gonna be water features and, small spray effects in that area for the kids. So they'll have, all their dry play equipment in the chutes and ladders portion. They'll have a tot lot down below, and in the middle there'll be a spray alley with water features and, bathrooms and whatnot out there.
And that costs, what, $3 million? 3.6?
I think that's what we have budgeted for that portion of the project.
All right, no further questions.
Thank you. Councilwoman Davis?
Thank you, Vice President Green. Mr. Baker, I just wanted some clarification on the outsourced cost and the in-house cost. Can you elaborate on the two?
Sure, yeah. So we currently have two universally certified mechanical technicians. So they're universally certified in HVAC, freon handling and all that. If we have skilled labor work that needs to be done, those individuals are tasked, and then we have other individuals that are in our custodial staff that can do some of the other less skilled tasks, certain things like this where we're doing commercial life safety products, or we're doing commercial plumbing. That would be one of the two individuals that does more of our high level maintenance side of things. Those are the individuals that are responsible for replacing this stuff instead of having, like, for this picture of the toilet. On the left, you have a residential gravity-fed toilet, which the individuals that utilize that on that floor can sometimes have problems with things actually going down through because of the flow rate of the flush. And over on the right is a commercial ADA regulation, high-pressure commercial toilet. So just having things like that, again, like you have old antiquated exit signs without any sort of emergency lighting to them, and they'd be replaced with new LED signs with all the proper and code regulation emergency lights. So these are things we've gotten quotes for and then made the determination that we would have the bandwidth to do them and we would save a considerable amount of money. So we then made that decision to have our in-house staff do this work instead of sub it out to an outsourced contractor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't really have any questions for you. Your presentation was thorough enough. We've had discussions before. I've kind of seen the work. I will say the 7th and Radnor Street playground's coming along really nice. I like the design. A lot of residents are really liking the way it's coming together, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback about that. So seeing things like that and other playgrounds and parks would be much appreciated as well. So thank you for the work that you do. I know sometimes it goes unnoticed.
And I think that's something that we definitely need to recognize our Parks and Rec crew for as well, that they're definitely the spear on the tip of that one, so.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for Director Baker? Seeing none, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, members of council.
Next, we will move to the Bureau of City Services or Public Works. Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Griffin. Excuse me. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, going over your presentation, and then we will save questions for the end unless someone just has a burning question in the middle.
Okay. Good evening, council. My name is Austin Griffin. I am the Operations Project Manager for the City of Harrisburg. I will be going through our City of Harrisburg Public Works presentation today. We will start with our Public Works demographics. Our highway shop has 15 employees, 4 of which are Caucasian, 11 are African American. Our VMC department has 8 employees. 1 is called out as other. 7 of them are called out as Caucasian. Sanitation has 41 employees, 2 Caucasian, 29 African American, 10 Hispanic is the numbers for sanitation. And our Parks Maintenance Department has 21 employees with 15 Caucasian, 1 African American, and 6 Hispanics. Our Billing Department has 4 employees, 2 of which are Caucasian, 1 African American, and 1 Hispanic. Joel. Management is compiled of 20 employees, 1 other, 4 of which Caucasian, 14 African American, and 1 Hispanic. That is a total of 2 called out as other, 36 Caucasians, 60 African Americans, and 18 Hispanics. We will move to the Public Works staffing updates. Our sanitation department has 2 vacancies. Oh, no, 1 vacancy, a motor equipment operator that is currently in backgrounds as we speak. So we do have 2 new positions for 2026, a motor equipment operator and a labor 3. We were asked a specific question about those 2 positions, and the answer to that, we were asked, what are the anticipated impacts of these new positions on city services? The answer to that will be, the city will take over the state surplus and recycling for the Department of General Service, the DGS, in 2026. We also extended the contracts for sanitation, collection in Stilton, Pembroke, and Pakistan as well. So those two will help out with all of the other sanitation needs that we have. Our vehicle maintenance center does have one mechanic position open as well. So the next slide shows our neighborhood services budget changes. I would like to highlight the decrease to the equipment vehicle line item by $108,000, and also the miscellaneous contracted services line item by $300,000. The next slide will show the neighborhood services budget overages. As you can see, we are pointing out the line items that were over in 2025 and the amounts needed for 26. This slide shows the changes in the VMC budget for 2026. Other rentals increased from 1.1 million to 1.3 million. This is due to tariffs and costs of building of the vehicles themselves and just new hires, as they're doing more work and everything, so it's more money was needed to rent things for those employees. Software was decreased from 77,800 to 50,000. VMC already purchased some of the equipment and software to diagnose the vehicles, so we just decreased that since we bought them this year. Motor fuels and lubricants was increased from 960,000 to 1 million, just the increase in the cost of gas and lubricants itself, so that just went up naturally. Tires and batteries was decreased from 150,000 to 125,000. We're buying cheaper tires and batteries from a vendor who has a better price, so it's pretty simple. Vehicle parts and supplies increased from 500,000 to 530. Just more work is being done in-house instead of sending it outside, so we need to buy more parts. The next slide is this next slide highlights any grants or special projects for the upcoming year. This year, we will be working with a 902 grant for the purchase of a new leaf truck from the Department of Environmental Protection. We would also like to mention Hotspot Saturdays as a continuing special project that has shown success throughout the summertime. A total of 78.4 tons of trash was removed from our city with the help of Councilman Rodriguez's program. And we just thank you for what you've been doing. The next slide shows a few of the performance metrics used in the highway and sanitation departments. These are some of the things we look at as managers to determine the success of the year. I'd like to highlight the percentage of projects completed by our in-house crew has gone up to 99 streets have been completed over the past 4 paving seasons, which is quite a bit of work done by those guys. And they work hard when they're out there paving. It's hot, and the material's even hotter, so I just want to shout them guys out if they're watching. I doubt it, and also want to highlight the 6,613 calls handled by our administration regarding illegal dumping and blight complaints. That's a lot of calls that just come in constantly that we then handle after the complaint comes in. We send a guy out to handle, and the cycle goes on. We will now move to some public works highlights, starting with sanitation. The numbers you see there speak for themselves and show how hard our employees work for the residents of this city. This year alone, we have collected 560.49 tons of illegal dumping, totaling $137,045.41, which is a lot of trash picked up outside of the normal trash routes that these guys have to do on a normal basis. Our highway department paved 30 streets this season and took down 29 condemned houses. Our vehicle maintenance department continues to save the city money by doing in-house work as well, and having continued to sell older vehicles and parts, bringing in around $150,000 by getting rid of these old vehicles and stuff that are just sitting around. The next slide will address the additional questions asked, which was, how does the budget support the 2026 projects? We have an aggressive plan this year to attack our city's blight and dumping issues. This budget will help us fight this battle by providing additional surveillance, enforcement, and cleanup response times. The two priority capital expenditures for 2026 are 2 trash trucks, 1 front load and 1 rear load. These 2 trucks will be used both for commercial and residential use. Our next slide shows some of our special projects done by the Sustainability Department. The removal of the solar panels has been one of our ongoing projects over the last couple of months. 1,015 panels have been sold for a total of $11,825. Sustainability Department has also secured $120,000 for the installation of solar energy at Fire Station number 1 as well. And we will move to some highlights from sustainability. 1 acre of turf grass on the back slope of Reservoir Park was converted into a native meadow. They also conducted 12 educational bird walks for the community in various city parks. Harrisburg has officially become a bird town of Pennsylvania now, so. I will now turn over the rest of the presentation to our engineer to present for traffic and engineering.
Yeah,
Before we move into traffic and engineering, we will see if there are any questions for Public Works. You just try to skip right over the questions, let me go ahead and move on to traffic.
I was gonna let him go and then come back and answer the question.
Halt.
We're going to start with, yes, it was a good move. You tried it.
Yeah, I would've just kept walking too. Where are you going?
We're going to start with Councilman Rodriguez. Since this is your department, do you have any questions?
Once again, Director Austin, it's always good seeing you and the team. I mean, we work very well throughout the years on a lot of initiatives that people wouldn't even know the calls. And I just really appreciate Mr. Jackson, yourself, Mr. John, Mr. West. I mean, the whole team, engineering. I wish I could name everyone individually, but we don't have that much time. But the countless calls that come in and how expeditiously you guys act, and the residents are so thankful for that. I mean, everything from emails to calls to even greeting cards of thank yous that we get. I mean, I just really thank you, and I'm appreciative of the work you guys do. Austin, we've been on Metny Street including Sycamore. You know, I just went over there to talk to the state, you know, workers, and you just so happened to pop up. So it just goes to the point of the dedication of not only the work that you guys do, but how relentless I am as a chair of Public Works. I just want to oversee projects and ask questions. I even popped up at Broad Street Market and asked about the bricks and the mortar. I know they was like, who's this guy? Because I'll pop up with a hoodie and a Scully. They wouldn't even have an idea. But, you know, the work you guys do, even just putting signs in the road when residents have complaints, these are things sometimes that are overlooked. And I just want to give you guys my many thank yous. I don't have enough or many, but I know for a fact that the Hotspot Saturdays, that's a waiver that we get through our La Shawarma partnership and a few others. But I know Councilman Jones had a question regarding the fees. Oh, you, like, because I was interested as well. With the illegal dumping, I think it costed over $100 grand. Where does that money come from? What line item, as far as the city? Where does that come from?
That line item, there is an actual line item for it in the neighborhood services budget.
That was a good question. The 137, the public work highlight 137.
Yeah, I don't think we put that, you got that one, Dr. John? I think it's the disposal line item, yeah. That's what I was thinking. So that would be in the neighborhood services budget. 422091 is the.
That's where actual,
the
for the
actual-
illegal dumping.
And it's labeled as disposal.
Okay. Say the line item again.
So the whole thing would be 2566000422091,
Awesome, thank you.
and it's labeled disposal.
Thank you. And also wanted to thank the team for not only assisting cleaning up on the illegal dumping, but also assisting me in getting these individuals or these property owners cited. We've actually been victorious in court this year a few times, making sure that we went all the way through the DJ. So thank you all. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Since Councilman Jones seems to have burning questions down there, we'll move to the left to Councilman Jones.
I mean, he he didn't take care of it all. But thank you for clarifying that. I was just curious of where that spending was coming from. The second question I have is I appreciate all the department heads that look to save the city money, because we definitely need to save some money around here. So I definitely appreciate that. But I can see you've cut some costs significantly. However, can we get kind of a comparison of what we actually spent and what we actually saved? I would like to see those numbers because you guys did cut in a lot of places. I mean, by 100,000 here, 20,000 here. So if you can compile those numbers, it would be great to be able to highlight the work you guys are doing.
So you want to see department by department, or you have specific?
Well, yes,
Like
all of the things that you.
VMC as a whole?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Thank you very much. President Hill, any questions?
I don't think I have any questions. Thank you. A lot of my questions were asked and answered around the diversity complement and the vacancy. So I don't have any questions. Thank you all for your work.
Excuse me, Vice President Green. Councilwoman Rawls is here now.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Rawls, any questions?
Thank you, and I apologize for my lateness. I was in the wrong Zoom meeting waiting to be let in. So there goes the last for the night. But I don't have any questions.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
Thank you, Vice President Green. I don't have any questions. I just want to commend you all for the work that you're doing in the community. Always answering the phone there, your secretaries, and if we leave a message, they call back pretty quickly. Kevin Jackson. Hi, Kevin. Nice to meet you face to face. I think I talked to you earlier this week. Thank you for that dump you cleaned up, in 9-2 in the neighborhood. So I can't thank you guys enough. You are really on top. I can't thank you guys enough. You are really on top of your game when it comes to the city, to the residents. No complaints at all. Nothing but kudos. Thank you for everything that you do.
That's all we care about as the residents.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Daniels, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Now that it's back to me and all my questions. I'm joking. I don't have any questions for you. I do thank you and your entire team for your dedication. I know during the Sycamore paving project, just about every day when I would drive by, you'd be out there with a cup of coffee at the curb cuts, walking around, monitoring everything. And I'm sure it's not just because that it was that street, but I'm sure it's just what you do when the projects are going on to make sure that the city is getting its money's worth and things are being done right. And that's greatly appreciated because I know in years past, sometimes like work will be done up like, how do we let somebody pave our street like this? It's done and now it's lumps all in the road. Like there are bumps and it's just not done correctly. And our residents deserve more than that. It's not like people are giving us a discount, right?
Nah, we deserve the same thing they're getting everywhere else.
Exactly. And I appreciate you holding.
That's what we're gonna get.
Right, holding everybody to that standard and making sure we don't get less than. So I appreciate you and your team for all that you do. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, yes, thank you, Vice President Green. I was gonna ask, since you mentioned the roads, are there any plans for doing any other paving in the first quarter of 2026 or in the near future? And do we have any plans to add any street signs? Street signs.
Street signs? Yeah, I'm gonna let Mr.
Oh, okay.
Siders
Okay.
present, and
Thank
he'll
you.
answer some of those questions with his presentation.
Vice President Green. Yeah, I just wanted to also before.
I was going to say, as far as in-house paving, yes, we are definitely planning on for 2026. Our goal is always at least 30 streets a year. We try to, depending on what you run into. We've been blessed. Usually we have a milling company come in, they'll take off like an inch and a half of surface and then we repave it. If we run into a problem, we have to do extensive repairs. So we've been blessed to not have to do extensive repairs at just that top 1.5 to 2 inches is good, and then we repave over. So, but our plan is to try to do 30 streets a year. That's our plan.
And I know you have a list because you collect that information when people call in and complain about potholes and different things, so.
Yes.
How do you determine which streets that you do first, and where does that money come from to pave those streets? Like what line item?
So I'll handle it in reverse. So the money comes from state liquid fuels. We use state liquid fuels for all the materials. We have a line called asphalt. It's a state grant that we get every year. We use that money straight from the state for all materials. And yes, we collect the data over the year, and then we have to send our list to the utilities, UGI, Capital Region Water, and we find out what streets they're doing projects on. If they're doing projects on a street, we determine how much of the road or street that they have to repave before we do it. But we usually just leave that street alone, and then we usually move on until they get finished with their project, and then we reassess. But it usually goes out to those utilities. After that, then we get the list together again, then we determine from worst to better.
Okay, good, thank you for that.
Yeah, I just also wanted to commend you guys on the work. I talked to a few of you guys a lot. You guys come right out and handle the situations. But I do want to point out some streets that we could probably work on. Nah, seriously, I really appreciate around the schools where those streets were paved. I think that was priority. Those were very important, especially with our children being out there, and the linings to make sure people, the crosswalks, all of that stuff is good stuff. The signage, all of that. You guys do. I don't know, maybe administration to throw you guys a party at the end of the year, right? Seriously, because you guys get a lot of thank yous and kudos from the residents. They really appreciate the work that you guys do. So I just wanted to congratulate you as well. That's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else before we move on to traffic and engineering? Seeing none, thank you again.
Good evening. My name is Joel Slaters. I'm the city engineer. I'll be presenting the budgets for both traffic and engineering. So for traffic, significant budget changes are in our miscellaneous contracted services. That was increased from 2025 due to the proposed line striping, additional line striping that we want to do throughout the city, as well as additional cost of replacing signal controllers as for our emergency response system. We had 2 decreases, and this was just based on our yearly average. We saw a kindly decrease, so we figured we didn't need as much for this year. So the traffic department is very diverse, as you can see here. There are no grants or special projects in the Department of Traffic. There are also no ARPA-funded projects either. And since the department is completely full, there are no new requested project positions for 2026. And as there are also no increases anticipated in above the standard amount. So what the Department of Traffic does is they maintain our 96 signalized intersections, 6,000 streetlights, 100,000 signs throughout the city. And part of their goals and highlights are they maintain all of those on a day-to-day basis. And they also secure the road closures for all of the events through the city, for the parades and all the closures downtown. And they are also in the, hopefully to increase the electric in Riverfront Park next year. So as part of their performance metrics, they meet weekly to kind of report what has been done throughout the work. And then they also measure their response time to emergencies. This includes both signal emergencies, streetlight emergencies, but it also emergency 1 calls that come into the city. I'll be now moving to the Office of the City Engineer. The Office of the City Engineer provides engineering, project management, and construction inspection services throughout the entire city. Anything that's within the right-of-way falls under this department's purview. And the department ensures that all projects are done in accordance with city ordinances as well as state laws. And then we also like to see ourselves as a technical assistance to any department within the city, so we do a lot of interdepartmental coordination as needed. So for the Department of Engineering, we currently have 6 positions. As you can see here, they're also quite diverse as well. And we have a new position ask for next year, and I believe in order to truly understand this position, I'd like to kind of just briefly explain our permitting process. Anytime there's a cut within the right-of-way, per city ordinance, a permit must be taken out through the engineering office. This is quite a large task when we have 500 permits a year. It includes permit creation, payment processing, permit closeout, tracking, utility coordination, contractor coordination. Currently, out of the 6 employees, we have 2 engineering representatives that handle all these permits by themselves. This is a tremendous task for 2 people because they're also responsible for construction and inspection of those street cuts to ensure pre-construction inspection. They have to be present during construction to answer any questions that the contractor may have. And then they also have to have post-construction inspection to ensure all the specifications have been met. It's my intent with this new position to pull all that administrative work from the 2 engineering reps to what I'm calling the permit manager. So this position would handle all the administrative work for those permits, all the coordination with the contractors, all the database upkeep, because there's a warranty for every street cut. So if, say, our highway department finds a bad patch on the road, they can come out to us, we can check, yes, that's still under warranty. That contractor needs to come back out and make it right. And then with that position, then the 2 engineering representative positions would then have full-time inspection work that they can actually accomplish what they need to do. These aren't in order.
While you were thinking, Mr. Siders, that position at 65, that's asked for the budget line, is there any comps, any in nearby municipalities for that position? Like, are we right within the range we should be for that position?
So I based it off of the engineering, the highest an engineering representative can go, as well as what the current project manager makes, and try to average that out. I see it as a progressional step, like a promotional path within the department: engineer rep, permit manager, project manager.
And do you think just one would be sufficient for now?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So as part of one of the questions asked for the Department of Engineering was the increased ask for our consulting line item. This is the first year that we actually have a design services contractor under contract, as well as a construction inspection contractor. And why both are needed is Wallace Montgomery is our design services engineer. They handle all of our design work, they handle our bid development, they handle traffic studies, anything else that we may need, because we're such a small department, we need help. And the urban engineering then handles the construction services contract. These are the larger projects like Sycamore Street, Berry Hill Street. They're out there day to day with the contractor, making sure that everything is followed per plan. And so that is one of the reasons for the ask. The second reason is Division Street preliminary design. Typically, I handle some of these larger projects in our capital projects fund, but I see that fund as more of projects ready to be constructed, projects that are funded by grants. Division Street is neither of those. It is still currently unfunded. We are pursuing grants for construction, but I don't want to delay, so I'm pushing design on that as well. So I figured it was more transparent to put that design cost in our consulting line item. And some of the highlights that we've accomplished this year was our Berry Hill Street. And Sycamore Street here, as you can see, the crosswalk in front of Foose Elementary. And then a Capitol Gateway that was a safety improvement project from Front Street to Second Street, including some islands of refuge, so it's much safer for pedestrians to cross at that intersection. Chestnut Street from 3rd to 4th Street was, and also ADA and safety improvement, and we also added a raised crosswalk. And of course, our public works dome that we completed very early this year and is currently in use by our sanitation department. But not only do we handle construction, we also do a lot of design work. And this is all the design work that we currently have ongoing to possibly next year or even the future to help us plan out our budgets multiple years in advance. One of the things with engineering is that construction always has to lag design by at least a year. So right now we're getting the cycle going, and I want to keep pushing it forward. The performance metrics that we use in engineering is specific to each design and construction project. For instance, a construction project, you might have a 25% spend, so you check it against a 25% completion to see if they match. If not, there's an issue. Likewise with design. And that's where we run into the monthly meetings with all of our consultants, and we discuss any budget overruns, any potential problems, and potential solutions. On our street cut signs, where we deal with the utility companies and their contractors, we hold periodic meetings with them, especially for the larger projects such as the sewer work up on Market Street. We're in constant coordination with their CRW and their contractor. And then for each individual employee within the Department of Engineering, we're developing standard operating procedures for that employee and every activity they do to better measure their success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snyder. I am going to start to not my far right left, but my farish left with Councilman Rodriguez again.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Mr. Snyder, it's always good to see you. I have no questions. We speak pretty frequently with the departments. I just appreciate the work you guys are doing and all of the upgrades that we're doing. And it's good to see a lot of the work starting to move around the city instead of just being in one concentrated area. So thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Nothing further.
Thank you very much. Councilman Jones, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Green. One of my questions, you can go back to slide 28, and you touched on it a little bit, far as the amount of the increase ask of 400,000 versus the 225,000. Yeah, I'm gonna ask my question first. The question was, I was a little concerned when we first had Wallace and Montgomery, because their ask was kind of small in the beginning, and now it's going up and up. I know these designs and these things cost a little money, but out of the $400,000 ask, this $2,000 estimated ask on Division Street, is that a part of the 400?
Correct.
It is.
Yes.
And then you said you didn't want to delay on Division Street. So do you have any grants in at this time for that?
We have grant applications in that we're still waiting to hear back on.
And so what is the difference? I mean, why wouldn't you wait and see if we can, get grant money versus using our own?
So one of the benefits of using consultants is that when we get a grant, there's usually a local match, and we can use the consultant design fees, consultant inspection fees towards that match. So I see no downside to having it ready to go once we get the grant, put it out to construction.
Okay. And the other thing I asked, there's a lot of speed bumps that popped up in the city. Is there any better material? That's one part of the question.
Yes, we are currently reevaluating all locations.
Please. Those things they're tough. I mean, I know we need them. However, my next question is, what is the normal process for a speed bump to be placed?
So for a speed bump to be placed, it depends on where it is located throughout the city. If it's on a city road, we have ultimate jurisdiction to do as we please. However, if it's liquid fuels eligible, we must follow PennDOT's guidelines, or we can be lose funding from that road and possibly adjacent roads. So the way PennDOT handles traffic calming devices is first you do a traffic study to see if it's warranted. If it is warranted, we have to then install it per their standards.
And so some of the areas that I point out, Division Street, 3rd Street, 15th Street. So what was the process of getting those there? Did they fall into the place where you could, like you said, in some instances you're able to just make a decision and put them out there, or where?
That
I just
was
want to see how they came about.
Those were placed by administrative decision, which we are now going back to reevaluate each one and do the correct procedure to see if they're warranted.
Okay, so they were just temporary
Correct.
for the moment.
Correct.
Okay. All right, no further questions.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Rawls, any questions?
Good evening, everyone. I have no questions. Thank you. I have the same ones as Councilman Jones, especially with the grants, so they were answered.
Thank you. President Hill, any questions?
Thank you. My questions around the diversity complement and the vacancy were asked and answered. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
Thank you, Vice President Green. I didn't have any questions initially. I was just going to ask about signs, street signs, if that's your department.
So that would fall under our traffic department. Since we have a full complement in our traffic department, we have a full-time sign technician. Their job over the winter is to fabricate signs all winter long. And then in the spring, as the ground thaws, we can go out and install those signs.
The ones that are missing,
Correct,
pretty much.
yes.
Okay, great. I look forward to seeing those. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilwoman Daniels, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. I appreciate the work you do and for you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Next, we are going to move to the Bureau of Fleet Management. Oh, all right. Yes, we're going to move to Parks and Rec then. Parks and Rec. Good evening. When you're ready, if you'd like to introduce yourself, give your presentation, then we will open it up for questions.
Good evening. Kevin Sanders, Parks and Recreation Manager.
Todd Herbster, Operations Manager for the Parks Maintenance Department.
Go to the department overview. Listed here is a list of our events. First one is the Bunny Blast, Summer Richmond Program, Movie Nights, Halloween Bash at the Brownstone, Winter Wonderland, Tree Lighting Event, overseeing recreational spaces such as the pools, Sea Island, Arcade, managing all pavilion reservations for the community, managing park renovation grants. Park maintenance, maintaining all parks and playgrounds to include mowing, trimming, mulching, cleaning restrooms, repairing playground equipment, tree work, graffiti removal, power washing pavilions, general cleaning of parks, trash pickup, snow removal. One of our significant budget changes, pretty much our main one, is in seasonal employment. We're asking for $600,000. That'll encompass a litany of changes that we believe we're going to need to make now as opposed to in 2027 with a new pool pending at Penn National Pool and Playground, also known as Pool 2. Some of those changes would be additional staff at front desk, security, additional lifeguards, pool managers, as well as site leaders and recreation assistants in our summer program. Park maintenance, $100,000 has been reallocated from contracted services to miscellaneous supplies. The IRA, USCF grants for $2 million to go towards tree removal. That's ongoing. Lower the need amounted for contracted services. It was originally allocated for tree removals and pruning. Miscellaneous supplies money was used for replacing and repairing tools. Lawnmowers that are over 10 years old, chainsaws, and other hand tools. Overtime budget increased to 110 from 86,000. Cleanup for unforeseen storms, weekend events due to increases in park rentals April through November. Department diversity, park maintenance. I'm going to kind of let you guys see through that. If you have any questions, I can ask them, answer those, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing some of it. Sorry, my eyes are a little different. Does anyone have any questions about the diversity page?
No, thank you. That was my question.
We did send over a handout to give a more in-depth overview. I'll generalize it. 7th and Radnor on visual, and Gorgas will probably look the most completed, while Wilson, the site itself, is coming together. Wilson's a park that has to work its way from the far end of the park all the way out to the road. So if you view it from Rumson Drive as you're coming down with the T in the road, it may appear that it's not as completed, but a lot of things they have to work their way out of that site because there's some big things that are going to go in, so they have to sort of work their way out. The whole site is set up now, and they're working their way out. They have started to do the pavilion footers. Once those are down, that'll open up a lot of things. There's a wall that has to go there. There's a lot of things in a very tight spot at Wilson. So Wilson will come together over the next month and a half. Gorgas is probably at about 85% completed. There are some things that are going to take place during December. The lighting is not done. The poles are coming in as we speak. And some other things have to be finished as far as the pavilion goes and the surfacing. 7th and Radnor is not quite the same as Wilson. We're waiting for the concession stand and restrooms will be coming in, and then a couple other amenities have to be fully installed. The lighting is about 95% done at 7th and Radnor. The stadium lights are installed, which is a good thing. A lot of things are done at 7th and Radnor, but everything is not finalized as far as the power goes. Reservoir Park is on a different timeline project. The splash pad has started. We are seeing pretty good progress based on the fact that we just started at Reservoir. We can go to the next slide. Other projects, 54 trees removed or pruned in the last 4 months. No storm-related work. Tree pruning done by contractors underway. 70 bare-rooted trees planted in 2025. ARPA funding, $500,000, originally slated to be used to supplement city seniors and low-income tree program. We spent $187,929. That includes 113 removed, 31 pruning, 8 stump grindings. Contract was awarded in September of 2025. So that's pretty good for the last 4 months. Penn National Pool and Playground, as Director Baker discussed, the geological study is near completion. We've taken some proactive approaches. We have, staff and myself, we have researched some current pool projects. We had a recent field trip to a big city where they had 2 brand new pools done in the last 3 years, as well as a renovated pool in the last 4 years. That was the last of our 5 pool trips. We also visited Chambersburg, which has a very large outdoor pool. Staff went to Manham Township and visited. They have 2 swimming pools there. Staff went to Middletown, who has a dated pool. We got a lot of insight there as well. And we also went to Reading Pool this summer. So the goal of those was to get a little bit more prepared for the Penn National Pool and Playground. Some of those changes are part of that $600,000 request. You can go to the next slide. That's our budget to date in Parks and Rec. Those are some nice pictures. Yeah, I'm not going to try to read those. You have a screen. This is a park maintenance budget as well. We can go to the next slide. This breaks down our events. Pretty much the 2 numbers there are pretty much allotted spots and who showed up. Some of those events have waiting room only. They do have to turn people away. There are people that have shown up at least an hour prior to some of those classes. Unfortunately, there's just a people limit. So a lot of them have been very successful, and those classes have been brought back. You can go to the next slide. So this breaks down some of the goals. 60% attendance to consider during an event is successful. 70% successful events. The completion of park renovations for Wilson Park, 7th and Radnor, and Gorgas, and Reservoir Park. Goals for Parks and Recreation, 70% attendance, successful. Some things are a little bit redundant. Reopening the City Island Arcade. We're looking into the Riverview Pavilion, a renovation there, potentially renovating that pavilion over at City Island. Park maintenance has 2 employees certified for crane operations. Currently, neither department has any vacancies. Couple other highlights. This year we were offered, we earned an award from PRPS and spotlighted 3 different agencies. We were one of them. Employment achievements that we have here, we would like to recognize that Cedric Bowling, one of the park rangers, has successfully completed all the tasks and all the requirements to be considered for the police academy that's going to start here in I believe it's January 8th for the city of Harrisburg. I believe that that's an extreme achievement considering when Mr. Bowling started in 2023. I do remember him telling myself that he said, quote, "One of my goals was this will not be my final stop in the city." So I'd like to recognize that we're really proud of Mr. Cedric Bowling that'll be joining the Harrisburg Police Department. I don't know if that's exciting to people, but to me, that's exciting because that shows growth. And kind of gonna skip down here for 1 second. The park rangers also presented a career day at a couple of schools and went over these types of things, and we really emphasized as a team growth. Some of our employees that are working in Parks and Rec started in our summer program and have graduated to some management positions and senior positions, and just trying to show the young people that you can do it. I think that's really important. Emma Simpson, she became certified Parks and Rec professional this year. That's a pretty high recognition in the Parks and Rec world. We had a roller skating event at the carousel. We averaged about 65 skaters per night. That included children as well as adults. I do think we did really well with the children in that aspect, but we did have consistent adults that came. Reservoir Park summer signups. This year, we peaked at 401 at Reservoir Park. That was an increase of 93 signups across 5 parks, but Reservoir, that was 93. We strengthened in our seasonal hiring, retention, evaluation, and child-focused program and quality. Department goals realigned, continued service at park, pool, and playgrounds. The Halloween bash at the Brownstone, we stayed within our expectations of still getting 2,000 attendees. We increased park rentals. The park rangers also kind of jumped in this year, and we supported a major concert with minimal notice on some changes and some of the logistics the day of. They did a great job that day. We were out there for a lot of hours with minimal breaks, and it was only 3 of us. Adult programming increased. We added 5 additional programs in 2025. Some additional questions. Improving our parks. Goals, excuse me. Increase attendance for programs. Our temporary employment line. I kind of went over those positions. Currently, our seasonal wages are the low is 15, the high is 18. That's also why that number of $600,000 is where it's at. All these things play out for us. We're also restoring 2 playground program sites that were not available last year, and we do anticipate if we're at 401 at Reservoir Park with the new splash pad and some pavilion upgrades, and there's some other upgrades at Reservoir that we anticipate being ready a little bit later in the year. We do believe we're going to exceed 500 kids sign up at Reservoir Park. The improved site conditions at 3 locations. I am anticipating as well, staff, that we're going to exceed 1,000 children signing up for our summer programs this year. Our current number this past year was 713. What that number shows is we also did not have 7th and Radnor, Gorgas, or Wilson. We eliminated a smaller park in that mix. So in 2024, we did have that. We had 834. Each year since COVID, we have added attendance each single year. We're adding attendance at different rates. We do anticipate that we're going to go over 1,000 children this coming year. I want to reiterate that. One thing before questions that's not quite on there, the splash pad does encompass some staff of that $600,000 as well. Questions?
Thank you very much. I'm going to start with our Parks and Recreations Chair with Councilwoman Rawls. Any questions?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Vice President Green, and good evening, Mr. Saunders. Thank you for your presentation. I had like 2 comments and questions. Thank you for my question. I was going to ask again about the increase of the $600,000. I know you and I have already talked and about it, so you explained most of it to me, but then you just re-explained on why you needed the extra funds, and I was just going to ask you again why, so you could explain to everybody else, but you did, so thank you. I was also happy to see that you all finally got together and did the skating rink. I know President Hill and I have or had spoken to the administration about that about 2 years ago, and it was something we really wanted to see in the city. But at the time, we were told it couldn't be done. So I'm so glad that you all found the resources and a way to bring that to the city. And I hope to see that get even bigger with maybe a rental, like skating, because the sidewalk was kind of rough inside with the cracks in there. A few people, it was kind of hard to skate. So, I hope we can, upgrade that as we continue with that program. I did want you to explain a little bit more. I know you talked to me, but for everyone else, because a few residents had some concerns about the grants that we had for the playgrounds, and knowing that there was an extension on them before until the end of January, and seeing the conditions of the playgrounds right now, not feeling like they would be completed by then, and wondering, are we going to lose those grants? So could you speak on that a little bit more to let us know the current condition of those grants?
Sure. So I'm going to start with Reservoir Park. Reservoir Park, we do have, I'd say 95% of the equipment is here. Most of it's at the park shop, in the front of the park shop. It has to be installed. We have a pretty significant delivery coming tomorrow at 8:30, which is our restroom for Reservoir Park. So with the good is, by us having these things here, we're not looking for them and waiting for those items. Getting that site prepared is a daunting task. So Reservoir, out of the 4 locations, is going to be the most challenging for us. Whereas Wilson, we're pretty confident that we're going to get into the 90 to 95 percentile by that date. Gorgas and 7th and Radnor, we do feel that we should be almost completed at 7th and Radnor by the second week of January. And specifically, Gorgas is just the surfacing is going to be the challenge, but we do expect it to be done. The amenities are starting to appear. They're out there now. While I sent over an update, the staff is working every single day. We went over some of the schedules. We do have a bi-weekly meeting. We do communicate with our main contractor as well as the subs quite frequently with these projects, and most of them are going from site to site. So there is some consistency there. Like the people who work at 7th and Radnor, Gorgas, and Wilson are all the same people. And sometimes they have to bring on more people to hopefully complete those projects timely.
Okay, thank you. That was all the questions and comments I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. President Hill, do you have any questions?
I do, thank you. Thank you for sharing the diversity complement information. That was one of my questions. I still have additional questions regarding both the parks and the performance metrics that were shared. So I'll start with the parks. I'm not sure of the handout that you are referring to in the slide. I don't know if I missed it or no, we didn't receive the handout. The last update I have, Councilwoman Rawls shared with me following our first town hall meeting in conjunction with the Harrisburg School District School Board. That's where we received questions, and so she forwarded the updates as of September 22nd, 2025. So is there somewhere we can reference this handout, or can you share it with us?
Yeah, I can share it with you.
Okay. My next questions are in reference to the performance metrics that were shared on slide 9. I'm happy to see and learn that there was more participation, it seems like, than last year, for sure. Now, some of these activities that have little participation, kayaking on Italian Lake, there was another one. Well, I don't know. Can you explain the gauge? I think you said 70% was rated successful, or 60%. Can you explain that? And will the activity of kayaking on Italian Lake be evaluated? How are the programs continuing to be evaluated? And what deems a 60% success rate?
Hi.
Can you move it closer to you? Thank you.
So we have about 70% of those programs up there we would consider successful. We did have some where attendance didn't hit that 70% mark. When attendance doesn't hit that 60% mark that we look for, we do go back to all the reviews. Those get sent out to kind of everyone who attends, and we ask what they think of the program. And depending on what those reviews say, sometimes we go back and we rethink our marketing for the program. Could we send this out to more schools? Could we open it to a different demographic that might be interested to see? Or sometimes when attendance is so low, we do not bring a program back. So sometimes you see us try new programs twice to see if we can change our marketing, and sometimes you see that we don't consider it successful enough to try again. So, but we do attempt new things all the time.
I know. Now, what's your name and what is your role for the benefit of the public?
My name's Emma Simpson, and I'm your community events coordinator.
Okay, thank you, Emma, for introducing yourself. Okay. I'm happy that participation was better. I mean, I think last year the max or the participation levels might have been like 10 people. So I'm glad that we've increased to capacity. So that's good. And thank you for your response. I wanted to congratulate Parks and Rec on the Professional Day Spotlight. So PRPS is the Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Society. I work with them in my full-time job, so that's awesome. And congratulations to Mr. Bowling on his movement through the city with the Harrisburg Police. So that's exciting. I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
Thank you, Vice President Green. Thank you for your presentation. My questions were answered, so I don't have any at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Daniels, any questions?
Oops, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Jones, any questions?
Yes. How you doing, everyone? I know Councilwoman Rawls addressed the 600,000, but I'm not really clear on it. I know last year we went over a little bit, and you asked for more money. I think it was 450,000 or 400,000, somewhere in that area. But I see that you guys didn't really use all of that in this cycle. So for the 600,000, you said a few things. The pool, Penn National, which I didn't know was Southside. I was like, man, where is Penn National? We got a new pool coming. I didn't realize where it was, but so around that, you mentioned that, and increase in staff, anticipation of more summer jobs. Is this where some of that funding will be utilized? And then staying in that lane with the 600. You guys, you anticipated, how many workers did you say you have? Like 500 total?
So last year, we made a lot of changes. So we went down to about 81 staffers. But by doing that, that means we also didn't have parks open. So we didn't have Wilson Park open. We didn't have 7th and Radnor and Gorgas. These are how do I explain it? So 7th and Radnor and Gorgas are each going to have large pavilions. This never occurred prior. Wilson's going to have a large pavilion. So when we offer the programming on their base numbers from when they were not there because of the projects, their numbers were exceeding already. So we anticipate at 7th and Radnor and Gorgas that we're potentially going to get close to 150 to 175 in signups. We ended about 119 when they went offline. Wilson Park was trending towards 100 kids signed up. Wilson Park, the last year it was open, that was the most kids we ever had at Wilson Park on a day-to-day basis. So I'm basing that off of that for those locations.
So that,
And,
so,
and then Reservoir is the one that's the most intense because we had 401 sign up this past year. We're adding a splash pad there. Once it's all active, I truly anticipate us to have 500 people sign up at Reservoir. We've had to turn people away 2 years ago. So it's sort of going the opposite way. We're getting more and more
I got it.
kids and more children want our program than they did prior.
yeah, and I just wanted clarity on it, and you know, for the public's understanding as well. Not that we're just dumping money and just, you know, I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity. So with the rates of $15 and $18, with some new ones coming in and the returning ones, that's still the range that you guys are going to be looking at for staff. And with those anticipated increased numbers of people signing up, you would have to add more staff. Is there a ratio, like in classroom, is there a ratio that you have to have, you know, as far as employees out there versus the amount of children that you expect?
No, we don't. So we don't do the daycare numbers. We're a little more cautionary. We won't want to get into that. That's a different set of rules. We're not going there. So we're looking at, if we're at 81, we're looking at 110 employees, but on a consistent basis. The goal is to roll it out this year so we don't do all these rollouts in 2027. So we're prepared. We have a year to go and do it with more numbers. We may not get to 110, but we want to have the ability to get to 110 because we do believe we're going to need to be very close to that number. We're also trying to staff the splash pad. These are large investments in these parks. So yeah. It's 13-1. So, and then if we get a brand new pool, you're talking $8 million. So, and that's just in a span of.
That was my next question.
That's a span of over a very short period of time. Let's go back in 2018, in 2021, we also put in, you know, $4 million worth of projects. So, you know, Fourth and Dolphin, Cloverly, Rural Terrace, Penn and Sayford, and Norman Hawley. So we still have to protect what we have out there, and we don't want to lose sight of that.
Good. So you brought it up, and I was going there next with the pool. Penn National, new pool, everyone. Penn National. So we know the earth study's being done. Do you anticipate that we will be able to utilize that pool? And if not, maybe that may be another question for. Okay, so, well, they how long ago, let me ask you, how long have this study been going on? So there's no updates on the ground or nothing?
So we're waiting for the final report, as Director Baker did state. We do anticipate that we'll get something here maybe next Thursday. That's a document that says you can go, or a document that says you can't go. Okay. The key is there, in our eyes, is if we can go, we have somewhat of a plan in place. We're obviously gonna have to come back to you for some approval. There's a fast track, there's a slower track. The fast track is we'd have to come back to you for approval. We have preliminary plans. We did do some research, and doing the research through Baltimore City, some things have come up that they recognize and stated to us in our field study around the geological. They're trying to do another pool, and one of their main guy told me and Ms. Ross, hey, you know, we have to slow down on one of our other projects because we have to go back and do that. And we said, we're doing that right now. Okay. So once we get that done, that takes us to the next plan, you know, and then some execution. I want to be cautionary here. I'm not saying that the pool's going to open the first day in 2027. It does take time to construct, but we do see like that it could be done by 2027. There is a vision. There's a vision. I want to say that.
Got you. So only reason why I'm asking, because you said part of the 600,000 had to do with that site, and we already have money allocated over there. We spent $2 million already. We still have $6 million remaining. So is this anticipated cost in this 600,000 for staff, or it's just? And I know it's better to be over, you know, have more money than less.
Right. So the goal of staff now is to get staff trained and prepared, even if it's at Jackson Lick this year, treating it for next year, for the following year. So we're prepared. That includes adding security. That means adding changes when people enter the pool, changing expectations, rising the bar, not just status quo, rising the bar across the board.
Got you.
And that's, if you're going to invest in $8 million, you got to protect what you invest. You can't just throw a pool out there, $8 million.
Got you.
And keep it the way we're going. No, we have to have a maintenance plan. We have to have preparation. We have to have people trained. We have to have certifications.
Thank you for the
these-
clarity.
Those are things that have to happen.
Thank you for the clarity. 2 more questions. Other question is, with these park designs, maybe I missed something and it's just me asking. It's nothing nefarious or anything. I'm just asking this question. Was there any public participation in the designs and needs for, wants what our parks look like? I know I've been approached about workout equipment in some of the parks, handball courts, so I just want to know what that process was like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's fitness equipment that'll be in Wilson Park. There's fitness equipment right now at Gorgas.
Okay.
It's in there.
But was this public participation or these
Yes.
designs? Okay, that was the question. Yeah. So the next one is on slide 8, Cedric, if you can go to that. And you might have to blow it up so Kevin can see it. But I'm just curious again, underneath of office supplies, personnel safety, can you explain what that is?
Referring to park maintenance budget or recreation budget, sorry. You
On
said slide 8.
Yes, slide 8, it's up there now, underneath of park maintenance, personnel safety, what does that entail?
Personnel safety would be the gloves.
You get them.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. That would be safety equipment with the gloves, winter gear. Obviously, right now it's really cold. Glasses, safety glasses, different aspects of the safety issue for the guys, keeping them safe out in the parks. I mean, you've been in the parks, you've seen some of the things that are out there, and that's
Absolutely.
the goal is keep
I
our
just
guys
was
safe.
curious. I didn't know
Yep.
what it was. I thought
Yes,
you
sir.
guys needed security. I didn't know what was
Hopefully
going
not.
on here. But
Our officers do good.
right. Now you gotta leave that fox alone up there. I like seeing it at times. That's all I have. So thank you guys for the clarification. Great job.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for joining us this evening and offering this presentation. I have no real questions, just more of a statement. I'd love to see more exposure to aquatics in the city, even utilizing, the beautiful river we have, figuring out a way. And if I could offer, actually, we partner, my daytime job, we partner with Fish and Boat. We do a lot of kayaking, a lot of fishing, a lot of outdoor-ish-esque type of things. So even collaborating perhaps with Councilwoman Rawls and seeing how we could bring more of that to our youth, bringing more engagement that can perhaps even benefit our tourism, attracting more into the city. But I definitely see more. I didn't see enough highlighting with the Family Fishing Day. I was actually there with my team that day, and I was actually on the catfish station, frying them up, cutting them up. So that was just amazing to see families, oh my God, I caught one, running over to the station. It says a lot. It brings a lot and offers a lot of exposure that's not traditionally in the city. And just so you know, there's some invasive species. There's about a 6.5-foot American eel in Italian Lake. So yeah, I actually held it and put it back because we weren't going to cut that up. But needless to say, the kids enjoy it. I've seen a lot of different schools come in on that day. Family Fishing Days, this would be the 3rd consecutive year. We partnered with Fish and Boat and Department of Parks and Rec, and was actually there to see it. And to see everyone from our elder to seniors catching fish, crying because it was the first fish they caught, all the way down to the youth, like, hey, I got a bluegill. It's amazing. And it offers a lot more than just our traditional basketball, football, to really get, our babies out there enjoying wildlife, because Harrisburg has a lot to offer in that aspect. So I just love to see more of that highlighted. But thank you for all you're doing, and I love to see more of that aquatic wildlife type of exposure in the city. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I have, I guess, a couple of questions kind of around the increase to $600,000. Because if I'm correct, we underspent that quite a bit this year. So now to increase it by about $380,000 more than we spent last year is a little concerning for me. First, you said add security. Where are we adding security to?
Swimming pool,
So how many security guards are we looking at?
4.
Per day, like per shift, per 4 total?
Probably, there's some wiggle per day, but 3 to 4 per day.
All right, front desk, where's that?
Person who takes the money.
No, but like, it's just at the pool, front desk, it just says
Just
front
the pool.
desk.
Yeah,
So,
that's just pool, sorry.
okay, obviously the lifeguards, site leaders, recreation assistants, that's just like the summer personnel that work at the playgrounds. All right. So how many more staff are we looking at adding?
We would get between 110 to about 118. That can fluctuate for different reasons, but somewhere in that ballpark.
So we had
We're at
81.
80. This year we did 81, but we
Correct.
also didn't have Wilson Park. We also didn't have 7th and Radnor and Gorgas.
And when we had those parks, what was our staffing allotment?
We were a little bit over 100. It would fluctuate, but we were about 100.
So you're looking to increase that by about, our max number from previously by about 10?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're looking to do it this year to get everybody trained and ready for 2027. So essentially during 2026, we'll be overstaffed at all of our parks and pools and everywhere.
I don't want to say overstaffed, but tight. Like, we're going to have more people there, so there's less room for disruptions. We anticipate 7th and Radnor that we're going to need to have 3 site leaders there. We're going to need to spread out the footprint with the significant changes to what the field can offer as well as what's there. Now we're having a built-in bathroom, concession stand already on site. You're going to have a press box. You're going to have dugouts. You're going to have the ability to do more activities than we did previously. Gorgas is going to have a full-scale playground and fitness equipment. Wilson is going to have triple the amount of offerings that it ever had. So Wilson was always sort of moderately attended. If we're thinking we're going to get 60 kids there a day, we can actually handle that. We really could barely handle 35, 40. So we do need to have staff there. We need to have staff that's trained in being able to make sure these kids are having a good time. And that was one of the point of emphasis this past year, and that is why the numbers were a little bit tighter. We were a little bit more on top, I don't want to say all the way over on top of people, but we went really hard in our screening process for site leaders. Site leaders had to do 2 interviews. Sometimes they had to do an assignment. We didn't bring on everybody. If people couldn't do the assignment, they didn't get brought on to be a site leader, or some didn't take some of the positions and things of that nature. So some things did occur. We were able to tighten up at Reservoir. Some of us filled in a little bit, but I don't anticipate all those things to happen. We're going to be more spread out. We're going to have to cover more ground this year, and we trying to make changes at the pool requires someone to be up there to make those changes as well. We made a lot of changes in the parks. This year was a point of emphasis in the parks, but next year, this coming year is going to be the pool, harder from full-time staff in some capacities that are a little different than what we did this year.
Okay, so it seems like this is just the staff that's needed for now, not for 2027. And in 2027, we're gonna look to increase the staff again, because if you're saying that this is essentially the staffing that's needed now, it's not that it's overstaffed, but it's what we need to maintain, then we would realistically look to have an increase in 2027 when we're opening another pool and adding more features to the city?
So the goal is to have the increases now so we don't have to do it in 2027. If we have a year where we've actually navigated with the security changes, now we can make changes to things that we may or may not have seen. But if we wait till 2027 with a brand new pool, we're going to be chasing problems in a greater scenario. And we don't want to have the park rangers just sitting at the pool being security. We had to do that this year after we had over 100 youngsters getting into a fight. We just cannot continue down that path with the park rangers sitting at the pool for 4 to 6 hours a day. It's not productive.
All right. I know this isn't in their job description, but have we looked at the CSA department to help provide some of that coverage at these pools during the summer? since I know they spend a lot of time like during school let out and things like that, and like at the, you know, the market, you know, interacting with the different residents. Perhaps during the summer, they could help with some of the pool activities, since, you know, the kids would have already seen them around the schools and things like that, as well as residents seeing them throughout the city. And that's a great place to catch kids at, and, you know, kind of talk to them and have those conversations and build those relationships. So if the CSA department, that might be something we could reach out to them, if that's part of 2026.
I mean, we can slow roll it out, but at some point, we're gonna need full-time security at the pool. In our pool research of going to multiple locations that are similar to us, they either had security or they had police. Baltimore had police at one of their pools. They had no amenities. The pool's the amenity. And they had a police at the front, they had a police in the back. I'm not saying that's where we need to go, but we cannot have fights where we actually had a ranger there and it turns into 100 children fighting. That's it's not
I
fair.
completely understand.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take anything away from
Yeah.
what you're saying. I'm trying to add to it. Saying
Yeah.
along with this, maybe we can reach out to our CSA department, if, you know, that's an option, so that we can provide added resources. Not so much that I'm saying take security away. I'm saying potentially add to it in different ways to kind of build those community relations, since that was one of the main purposes of creating a CSA division, was, you know, really boosting those community relations. And a lot of the issues that we seem to be addressing throughout the city in general is pertaining to young people, you know, throughout the city, right? Downtown, different places. So maybe having those relationship building opportunities in fun places like the pool might be a great resource. I'm also not trying to say, as far as like, oh, we don't need it now. I'm simply saying that in 2027, can we look to have an increase? I'm just looking forward, saying that if we need this now, then we're going to need more in 2027. And just thinking about long-term sustainability of the city of Harrisburg, because over 60% of our budget is personnel. You know, if you look at our budget in general, 60%. Every year there are increases, right? Whether it's 2%, 3%, 1%, 20%, right? They seem to vary sometimes. But if every year there's an increase and we know for a fact that our tax revenue base is going down, we just have to make sure we're being cognizant of it. I definitely think investing in our youth is one of the best things that we can do, but it's just looking at the overarching everything and making sure we're not planning to underspend, right? Planning money that we know we're probably not going to spend, just for the sake of having it there just in case, because once money is out there and allocated and not sitting in the fund balance, it gets spent somewhere, right? That's why we have budget reallocation. Suddenly, oh, well, we have extra money here, we can move it there. So just trying to make sure we're being cognizant of our funds, not trying to take away from what you guys are trying to do. You all have done a wonderful job of really increasing the opportunities and the amenities available to the residents of Harrisburg, not just our youth, but our adults and our seniors as well. And I appreciate that. I'd love to see more activities specifically focused towards our teens. I know that can be a harder audience to capture sometimes, but I think that's where we're kind of losing our kids at, between like 12 and 15, 16. A lot of our kids are looking for activities. They're too old for Little League, too young for high school, too old for the playground, too young for the skating rink. So it's kind of like, where can we try to capture some of those activities for them so they have places to go, and aren't just in large groups ending up, you know, fighting just because there's nothing to do and we're all bored. So I think those are kind of the comments I have. I don't know if there are any other comments or questions.
Just a couple questions. Thank
Yes, I had one.
Let
I'm
her
sorry to,
go.
Councilwoman
did I
Ross.
cut somebody off?
No, you
I
can go first, and
apologize.
then Councilwoman Davis will follow.
Okay, I'll go after her. Thank you.
No, you can go first, and she will follow.
Okay, thank you. I just had one comment or suggestion. I didn't know the Penn National, the name was changed until tonight. And at first it was okay, but then as I kept hearing it, I was like, well, instead of changing it to that name, which doesn't really link as much to Harrisburg, I know Pennsylvania, but is there any way that we could maybe go back to the drawing board with that and include the community and say, here, what do you think the pool should be called? Winner takes home $200. I don't know, just something fun with it, because I think we could come up with a more creative, fun buy-in name than Penn National. So I was wondering, would we be able to go back to the drawing board and include the community in any way with the new name?
So I'll just say it's been Penn National since I was born. I'm 35, and no one ever calls it Penn National, but it's a sign down there that says it's Penn National Pool. I don't know if they bought the naming rights at some point, but it's been like that my entire life. I'm sorry, could you speak? I think I overtalked you.
I said they probably paid for the sign.
So I think that's something we can definitely look into, but it's always been that. We just kind of always call it Cloverly or the South Side Pool, but it's always been Penn National.
I'm sorry. I showed my Harrisburg colors, because all I know is out the South. Sorry.
Unofficially, it has 4 names. In our paperwork, that's the one that the security firm would always refer to. Pool 2, Hall Manor Pool, the South. So a lot of it's AKA, because depending on who's stating it, we're open to a change, and I do believe that Penn National came around money more than anything for naming rights, for lack of better phraseology.
Sounds like it's time to ask them for some money again. That's what, yeah.
I have a question. With there's being, I know that there's going to be reconstruction out there with the Housing Authority. I think it was like, what, 500,000 now, something crazy number that they're going to redo Southside living arrangements. With the pool being out there, do they chip in with that, or no, we're just solely responsible?
I believe that's all us. I believe they got a redesign grant, but I don't think they got the funding to do the work yet.
Yeah, I just don't know the answer to that. Both projects are fairly complicated for local government and local housing authority. It's hard to imagine we don't work together on some way, right? It's just until we're really there.
I mean, again, the kind of money they're going to spend out there, those houses been there, since World War I, II?
But they have been talking about that for 15 or 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know I lose track of where they are in the process.
Just a thought I would ask.
If I'm correct, the redesign grant they had was focused on the other side of 13th Street housing first, because according to the demographics, that actually had the larger crime rate. And then they also included some of the redesign as far as like the Hall Manor section. And then they're waiting for the funding to see what all can be done. Still got a question. Councilwoman Davis?
Thank you, Vice President Green. Just one question in regards to with all the activities, the increase in staff and everything. You may have answered this. Is this contingent upon the pool getting approved? The pool at Hall Manor getting the certificate? I think you mentioned a certificate of approval, a letter.
No.
Okay.
The adjustments in staff are probably in some ways more focused on pool operations, our current pool operations. We need to sort of get more in line, as well as the splash pad at Reservoir Park.
Okay, so
are playing some roles in our summer program as a whole.
Okay.
These are anticipation,
Right.
and we'll navigate. I don't expect us to go larger in the summer program the following year. I actually feel like the pool we may need more lifeguards, but we're gonna be able to cut back on some things in the park. We just got to sort of navigate how many kids really sign up and how we do the programming.
And how did you come up with 60 kids, I think you mentioned, for Wilson?
So we look at the numbers from the previous years, and then Wilson really trended in the last year they were out there, kind of had a significant jump. But every day, Wilson was averaging 35 to 40 kids out at their park. That hadn't happened for us previously. So with the new amenities that are coming, I only anticipate that they're going to do more, because previously Wilson didn't have as much at the site as some of the other parks do. Like Reservoir's our biggest park. It has the most things to do, but it's also on the hill sides and stuff. Sunshine's really busy, but the kids that come to Sunshine come every single day. and Wilson are kind of the same way. They were started coming every day. So that was a good thing. That was a turnaround with staff, that kids were showing up every single day.
Okay, and then with the money that was not utilized from the $500,000, that is going where between now and next year?
It just goes back in. It was actually 450. It just goes back in.
You're right.
Yeah.
I knew it was an estimate around that amount. So it just goes back into the fund. Where does it go?
It goes into the general fund, and I do believe some of it was reallocated to cover expenses that were over in other areas, such as like medical and things like that.
And in January each year, you get what's called a roll forward, which that decision hasn't been made yet, which things that were in the middle of being spent and incurred in 2025 roll into 2026 so they can complete them. I don't know if any of this money will be there, but you'll get like a category list of those things that roll into for next year because the obligations were incurred this year.
Thank you.
Sure.
Learn something new every day here.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions, but I do have a request. If we can get a cost breakdown or an estimate breakdown for the $600,000, like how many employees are you planning to hire? How much are you planning to pay them? Same thing I asked for last year, right? A list of how you came up with this number, because I know you didn't just guess it, right? You took some time and sat down and ran the numbers. So if you can get us those numbers, we'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you all for the work you do. It's definitely noticed. We can see the increase in activities for our youth and Parks and Rec. So I appreciate all you do. Thank you. I believe that wraps up our committee business for, all right, guys, we're not done with the meeting yet. We're not done with the meeting yet. We still got a little time left. I think this wraps up our committee business, though, so I'm going to pass it over to President Hill for public comments and the rest of the agenda.
Thank you, Vice President Green. We will move forward with our meeting agenda. Next, we have public comment. Just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. Please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Humphrey has added a timer to the screen for your reference. I'll begin to my right. Is there anyone who would like to offer public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing no one. Anyone in the middle section? Seeing and hearing no one. Anyone to my left? Okay, seeing and hearing no one. Vice President Green, before we adjourn, would you like to announce next week's budget hearings?
Yes, next week we will have budget hearings Monday and Wednesday. We have a work session on Tuesday. Monday's meeting will start at 6:30 p.m. following I believe it's a building and housing meeting that's going to be using our chambers. And so we will be meeting at 6:30 for our third official budget meeting then.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, the time is 7:34 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.